My name is Sarah Hayes. Today is March 19th, 2025. Today is my 27th birthday. And I'm recording this at 11:47 p.m. 13 minutes before midnight. 13 minutes before I either break this curse or join 5 generations of dead women. What you're about to hear is everything that happened in the last 4 months. The discoveries that changed everything. The family secrets that nearly got me killed. The moment I stood at a serial killer's grave and demanded answers from the dead. The discoveries that changed everything. The family secrets that nearly got me killed. The moment I stood at a serial killer's grave and demanded answers from the dead. But I need to warn you right now. This story gets darker before it gets light. There were moments in the past 4 months where I wanted to give up, where the haunting was so intense I considered just letting it take me. There were nights I woke up with hands around my throat that weren't there, days I saw her standing in broad daylight, getting closer each time, hours I spent writing goodbye letters because I didn't believe I'd survive. But I'm still here. For now. And in the next 20 minutes, you're going to find out if I make it to tomorrow. If you believe some families carry darkness in their blood. If you've ever felt trapped by generational patterns you didn't create. If you think the past can literally kill you, don't look away. Because what I discovered about my family will change how you see your own. The clock is ticking. The shadow is in my room right now. I can see her in my peripheral vision. This is the end of the bloodline curse. One way or another. Let's begin. November 20th. 4 months ago. 3 days after I found that journal. I couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those names. Margaret, Elizabeth, Catherine, Diana, Jessica, and my own name at the bottom. Sarah Hayes, next. I'd been staring at that journal for 72 hours, straight when something caught my eye. Something I'd been too terrified to notice before. Next to Abigail's original entry, the woman who started it all in 1874, there was a small notation in faded ink. Abigail Hayes, first daughter of Thomas Hayes and Margaret Sullivan, born in shame, died in shame. May God have mercy on our bloodline. Born in shame? What did that mean? I started researching Thomas Hayes, my great-grandfather, the man who forbade Abigail's marriage, the man who killed her lover in front of her. The man who drove her to curse our entire bloodline. I assumed he was just a controlling father. A religious zealot. A man of his time who valued reputation over his daughter's happiness. I was wrong. I found an archived newspaper from 1873. 1 year before Abigail's death. The headline made my blood run cold. Thomas Hayes accused in death of young woman. Charges dropped due to insufficient evidence. The article described how a 27-year-old woman named Catherine Mills was found dead in the forest outside of town. The forest on the Hayes property. Her death was ruled accidental, but several townspeople had come forward claiming Thomas Hayes had been seen with her the night she died, that she had rejected his advances, that she had threatened to tell his wife. But Thomas Hayes was wealthy, influential, respected in the community. The case was closed. I kept digging. 1870. A woman named Rebecca Ford went missing. Last seen near the Hayes estate. Age 27. Body never found. 1871. Elizabeth Grant. Died in a mysterious fire in a cottage on Hayes property. Age 27. The fire started in the middle of the night. No source could be determined. Another woman, whose name was never recorded in official documents, disappeared from the town. Witnesses reported seeing her arguing with Thomas Hayes 3 days before. Age: approximately 27. And then, later that same year, Abigail Hayes walked into the forest and hanged herself. Age: 27. Thomas Hayes wasn't just a controlling father. He was a serial killer, and he had a type. Firstborn daughters. Always 27 years old. Always women who rejected him or threatened to expose him. I sat back from my computer screen, shaking. The curse suddenly made terrible sense. Abigail hadn't cursed us out of petty revenge. She cursed us because she knew. She knew what her father was. She knew what he'd done, and she was consumed by guilt for carrying his blood. But I needed proof. Real proof. So I did something crazy. I went to the historical society in the town where Thomas Hayes had lived. December 3rd. 2 weeks into my research, the historical society was a small building that smelled like old paper and dust. The woman at the desk looked like she'd been there since the 1800s herself. I'm researching the Hayes family, I told her. Specifically Abigail Hayes. Do you have any personal documents? Diaries? Letters? She disappeared into the back for 20 minutes. When she returned, she was carrying a small leather book, sealed in a protective plastic cover. Abigail Hayes's personal diary, she said. Donated by a distant relative in 1952. No, one's looked at it in decades. My hands were shaking as I opened it. The first entries were ordinary. A young woman's thoughts about daily life, hopes for the future, descriptions of her forbidden romance with the man she loved. But then I reached entries from September 1874. 2 months before her death. The handwriting changed. Became frantic, desperate. September 12, 1874. I cannot sleep. I cannot eat. What I have discovered about father will destroy me. I found Catherine's locket in his study. September 18, 1874. I confronted father about Catherine. He flew into a rage like I have never seen. He told me to never speak that name again. That I was hysterical. That I was imagining things. But I saw the terror in his eyes when I mentioned her name. He knows I know. September 24th, 1874. I have been searching through father's private papers. I found letters. Letters from Rebecca Ford, begging him to leave her alone. Letters from Elizabeth Grant, threatening to expose him to the church. Letters that were never sent because these women are dead. All dead, and father killed them. My father is a monster. October 3rd, 1874. I went to the constable. Showed him the letters. The locket. The evidence. He laughed at me. Sighed Thomas Hayes is a pillar of the community. Sighed I was a hysterical girl trying to ruin my father's good name. He told father I had come to him. Father locked me in my room for 3 days. No food, just water. Only a Bible and a lecture about honoring thy father. October 15th, 1874. William tried to help me escape. My love, my sweet William. We were going to run away together. Father caught us at the edge of the property. He had a rifle. William tried to shield me. Father shot him anyway. Right in front of me. November 1st, 1874. I cannot live with this knowledge. I cannot live knowing that my father has murdered at least 4 women and 1 man. I cannot live knowing that I share his blood, that I am a Hayes, that his evil runs through my veins. I have prayed for God to strike me down, But he is silent, so I will do it myself. November 5th, 1874. Tomorrow I walk into the forest, the same forest where Catherine died, where father has buried his sins. I go willingly to my death, but not before I curse this bloodline. Every first daughter will feel my pain. Every first daughter will know what it means to carry guilt for sins they didn't commit. Every first daughter will die at 27, just like father's victims. Just like me. This bloodline deserves to end. Let the name Hayes be wiped from the earth. I closed the diary. Abigail didn't curse us out of revenge. She cursed us because she genuinely believed the Hayes bloodline was evil. That we were all tainted by Thomas's murders. That we deserved to die as punishment for existing. She was a victim who became a perpetrator. And for 150 years, her curse has been killing innocent women who had nothing to do with Thomas Hayes's crimes. I left the Historical Society with copies of every page. As I walked to my car, my phone rang. It was my father. "Sarah, we need to talk." His voice was shaking. "I know what you've been researching. I know you went to the Historical Society." My blood went cold. "How do you know that?" "Because I've been paying attention to the Hayes family records for 20 years. Waiting, hoping no one would dig too deep. But you did. You found out about Thomas. Dad, did you know? Did you know he was a killer? Every generation knows, Sarah. It's passed down from father to son. The family secret we're supposed to protect. Thomas Hayes's reputation. The Hayes family name. I was gripping my phone so hard my knuckles were white. "So, you knew. You've always known. And you never thought to mention this while I was researching why every first daughter in our family dies at 27? I didn't think it mattered. Thomas died 136 years ago. His crimes died with him. His crimes created the curse, Dad. Abigail cursed us because of what he did. I know that now," he said, his voice breaking. "After your mother died, after Diana, I started putting it together. But by then it was too late. And what was I supposed to do? Go public? Admit that our family protected a serial killer? Destroy the Hayes name? The Hayes name. DAD. Women are dying. Your wife died. Your niece died. I'm going to die in 4 months. And you're worried about a name. Silence. Then quietly, "I'm worried about you being next." Then help me. Tell me everything. Over the next 2 hours, my father told me everything the Hayes men had been hiding for generations. Thomas Hayes killed at least 4 women between 1870 and 1874. All firstborn daughters. All 27 years old. All women who had rejected him or threatened to expose his predatory behavior. When Abigail discovered the truth, Thomas locked her away. When William tried to help her escape, Thomas murdered him and convinced the town it was self-defense against a thief. Abigail, shattered and consumed by guilt, walked into the forest and hanged herself. But before she died, witnesses reported that she stood at the edge of the forest and screamed a curse on the Hayes bloodline. The exact words were lost to time, but the intent was clear. Every first daughter would die at 27, just like Thomas's victims. After Abigail's death, rumors spread about Thomas. The town turned against him. He fled to another state and died 15 years later, isolated and despised. The family tried to bury the truth. They removed Thomas's name from church records. They destroyed documents. They created a false family history, but they couldn't destroy the curse. "Where is he buried?" I asked. Sarah, don't. Where is he buried? There's an abandoned cemetery 3 hours north. Plot 47. Northwest corner. Unmarked. Why unmarked? Because. His voice cracked. Because when Thomas died, the church refused to give him a Christian burial. They buried him in unconsecrated ground. And they buried him with the 4 women he killed. What? The women's families were too ashamed to claim their bodies. Didn't want the scandal. So the church buried all 5 of them together in an unmarked mass grave. 4 victims and their killer. Together forever. I felt sick. That's where I need to go. I said. Sarah, please. Just let it be. Leave the past buried. Dad, I have 4 months to live. The past isn't buried. It's hunting me. It's in my apartment right now. I can see her shadow in the corner. Then, I'm so sorry, Sarah. I'm sorry I didn't fight harder. I'm sorry I chose the family name over the truth. I'm sorry I'm not brave like you. It's not too late, I said. You can help me end this. How? Come with me. To the grave. Help me speak the truth that your family has been hiding for 150 years. I can't, he whispered. I'm too much of a coward. But Sarah, break the curse. For your mother. For Jessica. For all of them. Break it. He hung up, and I felt so alone. December through February. 3 months of escalating terror. Once I discovered the truth about Thomas Hayes, the haunting became aggressive. Before, I'd only see Abigail at night. A shadow in the corner. A figure in my peripheral vision. Now she was constant. I'd wake up at 3 a.m. to find her standing at the foot of my bed, staring at me with hollow eyes. I'd see her reflection in mirrors when I wasn't there. I'd hear her voice whispering my name. Whisper effect. Sarah. March 19th. Join us. Objects started moving on their own. I'd come home to find all my furniture rearranged. Pictures turned to face the wall. Every mirror in my apartment covered with condensation. And the words. Always the same words written in the fog. March 19th. Your time. Join us. I started documenting everything. Taking photos. Recording videos. I needed evidence that I wasn't losing my mind. On January 15th, I woke up to find scratches on my arms. 3 deep gouges on each forearm, like someone had dragged their nails across my skin while I slept. I live alone. My doors were locked. My windows were closed. There was no one there. January 28th. I was taking a shower when the water turned ice cold. Not gradually. Instantly. Like someone had dumped ice water on me. I jumped out and the mirror was completely fogged over. When I wiped it clear, written in the condensation were the words, 60 days left. I started counting. 60 days from January 28th was March 19th, my birthday. February 14th, Valentine's Day. I came home from work to find every single light in my apartment turned on. Every drawer opened. Every cabinet hanging open. And in the center of my living room, arranged in a circle, were 27 candles. All lit. I hadn't lit them. I grabbed my phone to call the police, but then I noticed something. In the center of the candle circle was a note, handwritten in script that looked centuries old. I picked it up with shaking hands. It read, "You cannot break what is deserved. The Hayes blood is cursed. You will join us. All first daughters join us. March 19th. 27 years. Your time ends." I dropped the note and ran out of my apartment. I stayed in a hotel that night, but she was there too, standing in the corner of the hotel room. Watching, I realized something terrible. I couldn't escape this. There was nowhere to run. The curse was tied to me, to my blood, to my birthday. I had 1 month left. 1 month to find a way to break a 150-year-old curse, or die like all the others. That's when I made a decision that would change everything. February 15th, 28 days until my birthday. I stopped running. I stopped being afraid. I got angry. I was tired of being hunted. Tired of being a victim of something that happened 150 years ago. Tired of carrying guilt for a monster's crimes. So I started researching how to break generational curses. I read everything. Ancient texts, modern psychology, religious doctrines, paranormal research. Anything and everything that might give me an answer. Most of it was useless. Light a candle. Say a prayer. Burn sage. Generic advice that might work for minor negative energy but wouldn't touch something this powerful. But then I found something that made sense. I was reading about indigenous healing practices when I came across a concept. Ancestral healing through truth-telling. The idea was simple. Generational curses feed on secrets, on shame, on things that are buried and hidden. The more you hide the truth, the stronger the curse becomes. The only way to break the curse is to expose the secret, to speak the truth out loud, to refuse to protect the person who caused the harm. In indigenous cultures, when someone's ancestor caused harm, the descendant would go to the site of the harm and publicly acknowledge what happened. They would speak the names of the victims. They would refuse to protect the perpetrator's reputation. And in doing so, they would break the curse. That's what I needed to do. I needed to go to Thomas Hayes's grave. I needed to speak the truth about what he did. I needed to say the victims' names out loud. I needed to refuse to protect the Hayes family secret. But there was more. I kept researching and found case studies of people who broke generational curses. There was a pattern. The curse breaks when the descendant chooses the victims over the perpetrator. When you stop protecting the abuser's reputation and start honoring the people they hurt, the curse loses its power. Abigail cursed us because she thought we were all complicit in Thomas's evil. That by carrying his blood and his name, we were guilty. But what if I proved we weren't? What if I showed that I chose the victims over my ancestor? That I refused to carry his shame? I knew what I had to do. I had to go to that unmarked grave. I had to speak the names of the 4 women Thomas Hayes murdered. I had to publicly acknowledge what he did and refuse to protect his legacy. And I had to do it before March 19th. I had 2 weeks. March 17th. 2 days before my 27th birthday. I drove 3 hours north to the abandoned cemetery my father had told me about. It was exactly as bad as I imagined. Overgrown with weeds. Headstones crumbling. Completely forgotten. The kind of place where people dump bodies and secrets. I walked to the northwest corner, counting plots. When I reached plot 47, I stopped. There was no headstone, no marker, just a sunken patch of earth and dead grass. This was it. The mass grave where Thomas Hayes was buried with the 4 women he murdered. I stood there for a long moment, just breathing. I could feel something in the air, a heaviness, a presence. I could hear multiple voices overlapping. He's here. We're here. So much pain. I pulled out my phone and started recording. My name is Sarah Hayes. Today is March 17th, 2025. I am standing at plot 47 in the northwest corner of Glenwood Cemetery. This is the unmarked grave of Thomas Hayes. My great-great-great-grandfather. Thomas Hayes was a serial killer. Between 1870 and 1874, he murdered at least 4 women. Their names were Catherine Mills, Rebecca Ford, Elizabeth Grant, and a fourth woman whose name was lost because my family chose to protect a killer instead of honoring his victims. All of these women were 27 years old. All of them were firstborn daughters. All of them rejected Thomas Hayes or threatened to expose his predatory behavior. So he killed them. And when his daughter Abigail discovered the truth, when she tried to escape with the man she loved, Thomas Hayes murdered him too. A young man named William, whose last name I don't even know because he was erased from history. Abigail, broken and consumed by guilt, took her own life. But before she died, she cursed the Hayes bloodline. She cursed every first daughter to die at age 27, just like Thomas's victims. For 150 years, my family has kept this secret. For 150 years, we have protected Thomas Hayes's reputation. We have hidden his crimes. We have let these women remain nameless and forgotten. Not anymore. I refuse to protect him. I refuse to carry his shame. I refuse to let these women stay forgotten. Catherine Mills, you deserve justice. Rebecca Ford, you deserve to be remembered. Elizabeth Grant, you deserve to live. And the woman whose name we lost, you deserve to be known. You were not shameful secrets. You were human beings with lives and families and futures that Thomas Hayes stole from you. The Hayes family owes you an apology. We owe you acknowledgement. We owe you the truth. Abigail Hayes, you were a victim too. What happened to you wasn't your fault. Your father's evil was not your evil. His crimes were not your crimes. You don't need to punish us anymore. We are not him. I am not him. I choose these women over him. I choose truth over secrets. I choose victims over perpetrators. The curse ends here, not because of magic, not because of rituals, but because I'm speaking the truth that should have been spoken 150 years ago. Thomas Hayes was a monster, and I will not protect him anymore. The moment I stopped recording, something changed. The heavy, oppressive feeling lifted. The air felt lighter, warmer, and then I saw them. 4 women, standing at the edge of the cemetery, translucent, glowing, softly in the late afternoon light. I recognized them from the old newspaper sketches I'd found during my research. Catherine, Rebecca, Elizabeth, and the 4th woman, whose face I'd never seen but somehow knew. They were smiling, actually smiling. The first woman, Catherine, I think, nodded at me. A gesture of thanks, of acknowledgement, of release. Then, one by one, they faded, just dissolved into light and were gone. I stood there for a long time, crying. Not from fear, from relief, from grief, from the weight of carrying something that was. Never mind to carry Fene or lie lifting. I posted the video that night, publicly, on every platform I had. I named Thomas Hayes as a killer. I shared the historical evidence. I refused to protect the family secret. My phone exploded. My father called. My aunts, my cousins, all begging me to take it down, threatening to disown me, accusing me of destroying the family name. But I didn't care, because March 18th came, and I was still alive. I'm recording this at 6:47 a.m. on March 19th, 2025, my 27th birthday. I woke up this morning in my own bed. No scratches, no shadows, no whispers. For the first time in 4 months, I slept through the night. The sun is coming up. I can see it through my window. Pink and gold and beautiful. I'm alive, but I need to be honest with you. I'm still scared. The curse has killed every first daughter at 27. some on their birthdays, some days after, some weeks after, but all within their 27th year. I don't know if it's really over. I don't know if speaking the truth was enough. All I know is that right now, in this moment, I'm alive. And I'm choosing to believe that means something. It's now 11:47 p.m., March 19th. 13 minutes until midnight. I've made it through my entire 27th birthday. No accidents. No mysterious illnesses. No attacks. But I won't lie. I'm terrified. What if the curse is just waiting? What if midnight is when it strikes? It's been 3 days since my birthday. I'm still here. Still breathing. Still alive. The curse is broken. I know this because last night I had a dream. But it wasn't a nightmare. I was standing in that cemetery again, at plot 47. But this time, there were 5 women standing there. The 4 victims, and Abigail. Abigail looked different, younger, peaceful. The hollow, haunted expression I'd seen for months was gone. She walked up to me and spoke for the first time. "Thank you," she said, "for seeing us, for speaking for us, for refusing to protect him." "I'm sorry it took 150 years, I said. She shook her head. "You were the first one brave enough. The first one who chose truth over shame. That's all it took. That's all it ever took." "The curse is really over?" She nodded. "It was never about punishing you, Sarah. It was about making sure someone, eventually, would speak the truth, would honor the victims, would refuse to let our deaths be forgotten." "What about you?" I asked. "Are you free now?" She smiled. "We all are." And then she turned and walked toward the other 4 women. They joined hands, and together they faded into light. When I woke up, I knew it was real. I could feel it. The heaviness that had been following me for 4 months was completely gone. But here's the most incredible part. After I posted that video about Thomas Hayes, I started getting messages. Hundreds of them, from other descendants of the Hayes family. From people connected to Thomas through his sons and nephews. From families that had intermarried with ours over the generations. And so many of them said the same thing. "We have first daughters who die young. We have unexplained tragedies. We have patterns of early death that no one can explain." My video helped them see their own family curses. Helped them understand that sometimes the darkness in a bloodline isn't genetic, it's the secrets we keep, the truths we refuse to speak, the victims we choose to forget, and they're breaking their silences too. Last week, my sister had her baby. A beautiful, healthy first daughter. My niece. I held her in the hospital and I whispered to her, "You're free. The curse won't touch you. You'll live past 27. You'll grow old. You'll have your own daughters and they'll be safe too." Because I spoke the truth. Because I chose victims over perpetrators. Because I refused to carry shame that was never ours. My father came to the hospital too. He hasn't spoken to me since I posted that video. But he held his granddaughter and he started crying. "I'm sorry," he said to me. "I'm sorry I chose a dead man's reputation over living women's lives. I'm sorry I let fear keep me silent." "It's not too late," I told him. "You can speak now. You can add your voice. You can choose truth." He nodded. And last night he posted his own video, confirming everything I said, apologizing to the victims, refusing to protect the family's secret anymore. The curse is broken, not just for me, for all of us.